I'm in the car, we're driving. He's like, "Hey, like, do you want to be good at all three of these sports, or do you want to be great at one?"
Then you
And I,
guys got Iowa, Rutgers, and then Penn State. How
Mhm,
confident are you going into this next month
mhm.
with those big schools coming up? What's going on, everybody? We are back again with another episode of Over the Octagon podcast. Today, we're doing things a little bit different. We actually have a very special guest coming on with us. NCAA Maryland wrestler, 184 pounds, Jaxon Smith. Man, appreciate you coming on to the show.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me on today.
Yeah, man, it's good to have another Georgia boy on the episode.
Yeah.
We don't get many people from the South on the show. Most of the people we get are spread out all across the United States, but it's always good to have another Georgia boy on the show. So
Right.
Repping the A right there. I love that
Yeah,
I
hat.
know,
have
dude,
to.
it's sick.
Have to.
But yeah, I mean, to kind of start things off, I think one big question me and Nick both, understood because, we also did grow up wrestling as well. So
Mhm.
wrestling was part of our childhood. We grew up wrestling. I started when I was 5. He started when he was in middle school. We wrestled. We're a little bit older than you, but we wrestled, throughout our elementary school, middle school, and high school in Georgia as well. And
Mhm.
one thing that we kind of learned early on is the South don't get much respect when it comes to
No.
wrestling. It takes a lot to be good down south to
Mhm.
make it out in the NCAA, that collegiate level of wrestling. So my question to you is, how early on in your childhood, or when did you start, and how did you kind of get to the point where you are now, to where you become now
Mhm.
a collegiate wrestler?
Yeah, I mean, I started wrestling when I was, I think, 5 years old. I also played like little league football and baseball as well, and I had like this little. There was like 4 or 5 months where I wasn't doing anything, so I decided to pick up wrestling, just to stay active. And
Yeah,
I ended up just like really enjoying it. I loved being able to like not have to rely on other people to win matches or win a game.
exactly.
Because I would get super frustrated as a little kid, but um, you know, I it came to a point where three balancing three sports was a little too much. Like when I was like 10 years old, it kind of sounds crazy, like I was too much, but I really was like I wanted to be the best at something, and that's something that me and my dad talked about. I remember we were going to a wrestling practice, and I'm in the car, and we're driving. He's like, "Hey, like, do you want to be good at all three of these sports, or do you want to be great at one?" And I was like,
I like
I mean,
that.
I want to be great. Like that's what I want to be. And he's like, well, I mean, I suggest, maybe we talk it over, we think about it. What do we want to focus on? And, what do you enjoy the most? And I enjoyed wrestling the most. So ultimately we decided that that's what we were going to focus on. And so I, quit baseball and I quit football, and I decided I'm going to go all in on wrestling at the age of 9, 10 years old. Um, I for like you guys were saying, Georgia's not like a huge like
No,
wrestling
no,
state
no.
at all. So we did a bunch of crazy things. Like we would travel to Pennsylvania, Iowa, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Like me and like you guys know like Caleb Henson, like national champion last year at
Yep.
149, 57 pounds. Like him and a bunch of other guys, we would load up in a van at like 10 years old and drive to Northern Iowa to wrestle at tournaments. And
That's huge.
we would do like a bunch of crazy stuff like that.
That was the
Yeah,
way to do it, though, to kind of get your name out of there.
yeah,
I mean, when we were growing up, you had like forums where you would get on your forum and you would look to see like where you were ranked in the state, and like,
yeah, yeah. I
and
mean,
then
like it was like track wrestling, and you'd look up
track
what team
wrestling.
you
Yeah,
were.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
absolutely, man. I think one of the biggest switches for me when I was playing other sports was, wrestling's an individual sport.
Hmm.
At
yep.
the end of the day, you can't blame your loss on anyone else but yourself. And
Hmm.
that's one of the main reasons I switched over and quit all the other sports, because I was like, it's me against me in there.
Yeah, exactly. I like some people hate that, but like I'm one of those people that I love that. I like the pressure, and like I like it being on me.
And a lot of people don't understand either too. It's like when you're a kid at 10 years old and you're in a wrestling room, there's no other place in the world like that.
Hmm. Right.
We used to sit, we honestly, and you probably can attest, we would make fun of football players and
Yeah.
baseball players because they would come into the wrestling room and they just couldn't handle it. They
Yeah.
would be like, yeah, no, we're gonna go back to
Yeah.
playing ball.
Yeah.
So
It's too hot in here or something.
to be young and handle
Hmm.
that and do it, it takes a lot at
Hmm.
a young age to even stick to something like that. But
Yeah.
so did you wrestle your most of your young career in the Woodland area? Did you do like the
Mhm.
junior program up to high school?
So crazy enough, me and like 5 guys, like in middle school, we homeschooled.
Oh,
So what we did was we rented out this space like through like family friends basically. It was a used car dealership and also a church on Sundays, and then
Wow,
Monday through
man.
Saturday we'd go in, we'd do our homeschool at like 6 a.m. We had wrestling mats in there. We had like weightlifting stuff. We would have a coach that would come in at like noon. So we did that for 2 years. And then on the weekends, we would travel to, Pennsylvania, Iowa, Oklahoma, all
Oh,
these
wow.
different places. Um, so, I mean, we were kind of spread out between like an hour away from each other, and we'd meet in a central location, and we we're kind of in the middle of like the Woodland Cartersville area, and
Yeah.
then we got connected with Coach T, Traumatola. Some of the guys were districted to that area, and then some of us ended up going out of district to go to Woodland.
absolutely, man. And just speaking on the high school career, what are some of your accolades there? What are your achievements in high school?
Yeah, so in high school, I didn't wrestle my freshman year. I had surgery on my shoulder, and then I 3-time state champ.
Damn.
Fargo All-American, Super 32 All-American, and then some various other All-Americans at different tournaments. And then my senior year, in the middle of the season, I broke my hip, so like, it was
Oh, fuck.
I kind of had a wicked high school, balancing struggles or balancing injuries and whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You started with an injury and you ended with one.
Yeah, pretty
That
much.
is wild, man. Yeah, we had a lot of colleges back in the day try to get us like shorter and like Gordon College, but nothing
Mhm.
as good as where you're at right now, man.
Mhm.
That's awesome. Congratulations. You're on a tear
Thank you.
right now.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
So you redshirted as a freshman. Is that correct?
I did. Yes,
So
I did.
you're on year 4 right now.
Yes. Yeah, I'm on year 4.
Technically, year 4.
Technically,
So
yeah. I'm junior, so yeah.
redshirt junior.
Mhm.
So you started your college career at 197 pounds,
Mhm.
and then this most recent year, you've now dropped down to 184.
Right.
What was the choice of changing that?
Mhm.
And obviously that's a pretty big weight difference and
Mhm.
cutting down. But how has that affected your year this year? Because you
Mhm.
seem to be on your best year, what seems to be your best year yet
Mhm.
in college, and you're looking just as good as ever. So
Mhm.
how has that change helped you? How have you felt at
Mhm.
184? How's your year been so far at that weight?
Yeah. So I mean, starting off like right when I got into college, I weighed like 190 pounds, and so I was kind of I'm a very big like in betweener. I
Sure.
could go 97, could go 84. So right when I got there, us and the coaches talked, and they were like, 97 is probably the best option for you to win a national title. So um, I tried to like, get that weight on, and basically I just couldn't keep the weight on for the past 3 years. I was weighing in at tournaments at like, 192 pounds,
Mm,
some of these guys, like after weigh-ins, you're like 210,
yeah, dude.
215. So,
Yeah.
yeah, in the summer, I would get up to like 210, and then it would just fall off with practices and weighing in and stuff.
Sure.
So, I talked to our coaches this year, and I was like, hey, like, and they agreed. They had the same thoughts. Like 184 might be the best option for you, just like my body style and
Sure.
all that stuff. So decided to make that drop down, and I don't really have any type of problem getting down to weight. Honestly, I'm not cutting massive weight at all. Like I walk around 190 pounds, so 6 pounds.
Yeah.
One practice, I'm down on weight. So
Sure. Yeah. I
Oh,
mean, you look
hell
to
yeah.
seem to be a big
mhm,
184,
right,
but I mean, hey, as long as the weight's coming off easy and you're comfortable,
yeah,
because
mhm,
as we know in the fighting world, when we interview fighters and stuff like that, that's a big question when it comes to the weight aspect is,
yeah,
and a lot of those guys in MMA, they really cut
oh yeah,
weight. And
yeah,
they get down to where it's almost uncomfortable to
yeah,
even think about. But
yeah,
you've been doing this your whole life. Weight
mhm,
cutting for you is natural. So
right,
that's good though. I'm glad to see that 184 is comfortable for you. Right now you're at 13-3 on the year,
mhm,
coming on a 3. You're on a 3-win streak right now at the
yeah,
moment.
mhm,
Uh, you got some big stuff coming up in the next
mhm,
couple of weeks, man. You got a
yeah,
big 2 months of wrestling. You got Illinois coming up this next week.
mhm,
Then you guys got Iowa, Rutgers, and then Penn State. How
mhm,
confident are you going into this next month
mhm.
with those big schools coming up?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty confident. I'm really excited, honestly. Things that I've learned throughout my career as a college athlete and just a wrestler in itself. You can't get too high on your highs and you can't get too low on your lows. So I really just try to look at it like week by week. I have a match on Friday, so I'm going to focus on that, and
Yep.
and then see how that goes, and I'll take the whatever I learn from that, go to the next one, and so forth. Everything, nothing really matters until March, until NCAAs, right? So
Sure.
Yeah,
I try to take it week by week, as hard as that is. Sometimes I look a little too far into the future, but I just got to bring myself back to earth and take it week by week.
absolutely, man. One match at a time, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely, dude. So let's say it's second period, you're tied up, top, bottom, neutral, or defer. What you got?
If I'm not deferring, I'm going down. I feel like I get up. I can get up. I haven't been ridden out in a while.
Okay, let's go.
So I'm going down. I'm pretty confident in myself. I'm
Absolutely,
getting
man.
Mm-hmm.
Me too.
Yeah.
Most definitely, man. Do you have any like dreams in the future after wrestling of transitioning to mixed martial arts?
I've thought about it. I'm not sure. I don't like getting hit in the face very much. So, I would love to be the guy that says yes 100%. Like, I'm going to MMA after this, but I've been hit a couple times in the face, and I'm not a huge fan of it. So
Fucking
we gotta
sucks.
see.
It does take a lot to get punched in the face. That's for sure.
Exactly.
But let's talk about January. Big year, big month for you, man. Congratulations on being the Big Ten Wrestler of the Week in January.
Thank you.
That's a pretty dang big accomplishment, man. First time in your career at that, and also you guys are coming off of 3 big team wins that you've contributed to. I'm pretty sure I looked at some stats along my research process, and that was the first time you guys have had a top 10 team win in like X amount of years. It's been a pretty long time, and you guys are on a roll right now. You got you guys beat Michigan State. Now you got a big month coming up with a lot of top teams. Iowa and Penn State are pretty big names, and you guys have to wrestle them every single year. So let's talk about a couple of your big matches coming up. I know you got Gabe Arnold from Iowa coming up. That's a big ranked match. And then you also have Carter Starachi coming up in February as well. Planning for those, I know you want to take it match by match, but it's likely that you're potentially going to see these guys twice this year, one coming up soon and then one in March. How are you planning for those matches early on before March gets here?
Yeah. So funny enough, Gabe Arnold, I don't know if you know this, but he's from Georgia.
Yeah.
So I wrestled with him
growing up,
high school. Yeah. So we were training partners for like 4 years during high school. Off season, during the season. So I pretty much I know what I'm gonna do, and I'm just kind of focusing on what makes me the best wrestler.
Sure.
I've obviously watched both of them wrestle. They're both really good.
Sure.
But I think if I wrestle my best, then I think I'm really hard to beat. Being confident and just going in with a winning mindset, like I think I'm good to go.
Sure. Yeah. I think a lot too coming in March, seeding in the tournament, things like that. When it comes to ranking, we've watched over the course of the last few years, seeding almost at this point doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
There's the 25 guy has upset the 1 guy.
Right.
There's been countless times here recently where it doesn't matter where you land on that bracket. You're going to have to wrestle tough competition. There's no easy win in the NCAA tournament anymore, really. So,
right. Yeah. And with, Big Tens too. So
yeah, exactly.
That's 2 Big Ten teams. So I'll wrestle both of them in the duel, and then
in the duel.
Tens, and then, potentially, at NCAAs, which is, you've seen some guys wrestle like 4 times in one season. And so it's not uncommon to happen.
Yep.
So.
Absolutely, man. What's the experience like in the locker room over there? If someone's, about to get a scholarship and has a couple choices to make, what's it like over there in Maryland that's different?
Well, our team is very like closely connected. Just through my recruiting process. I got to see the atmosphere and the team from a bunch of different teams: Big Ten, Pac-12, SoCon, MAC, all these different programs. I think what really makes us different is we're a very tight knit group. We have like 3 houses. 2 houses side by side. We like all live in them. We're literally like my house, there's 7 guys. The house next door is like 8 guys, and then there's another. I think actually there's 2 more houses. One down the road a little bit, another 7 guys, and the other house has the rest of the guys. So I mean, we're all super close. We all hang out all the time. Like when there's football games on, like we're all in one house, hanging out, which is very uncommon in really on any sports team. Like most of the time, it's very cliquey.
Yeah.
So I think that helps us a lot because it makes us stay accountable for doing good and bad things, and
Sure.
keeping like common goals in mind. So I think that's a really huge thing that sells people in Maryland. Also, we're a Big Ten. We have Big Ten funding. Our facilities are awesome. We're a top
Top of the line.
15 top 15 public school. Our campus is beautiful. Like it's hard to beat Maryland when you think of like everything that we've got going on here.
Awesome,
Love that.
man. Awesome. That is sick, dude.
Mm-hmm.
So, like he asked about, kind of how it is, what's the atmosphere like at Maryland? I went back and listened to you say one time, and I'm kind of curious to know inside the wrestling room, the motto, expect to win.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean to the team when you see that? Is that on the wall in the room when you walk in, just expect to win? Like, what does that mean to the team? Is that something your coach like pumps into you guys?
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't go out there with this mindset. Just go out there expecting to win. How is that presented to you guys in the wrestling room?
Yeah. I mean, like it's actually literally written on our wall. Expect to win. We touch it every time we leave.
I love that.
Before we leave, we hit the wall that says expect to win. So I mean, it's our team motto, and it's something that we all take pretty seriously. And if you kind of like break it down in the mindset, like expecting to win, like it doesn't matter like who you're wrestling against. It doesn't matter if it's a guy in a Penn State singlet or a guy in a black and gold singlet or Oklahoma State guy. It doesn't matter just because their team is this or this guy's done this. It doesn't matter. Like we're going to go into this duel or this match and we're going to believe in ourselves that we're going to be able to get the job done. We're going to expect to win, and I think that's kind of the change of culture that we've had at Maryland, and that's why we're seeing the upside of it. Right when we got here, or right when I got here in my class, Maryland was nothing. Basically, we were the bottom of Big Ten, and now we're starting to see like, all right, this is what Maryland's about. We're expecting to do this, and that's what the mindset that we've had, and we're starting to see the upside of it, and we're starting to see some success. We've had 3 Big Ten wins, a top 10 win. And I think that's just kind of the culture that we've made here.
Do you think that plays into the fact of the team in general being like guys like, the Miller brothers and Braxton Brown and yourself? You guys all came in at the exact same time. You guys all started wrestling at Maryland at the exact same time. And now you guys are kind of helping build the team to where it's at today. Do you feel like that's kind of, a big reason that you've taken Maryland from being where you said it was to, 2025, you guys are coming on top in some of these duels, winning big tournaments, winning big matches, things of that nature?
Yeah, 100%. I think like we all have like chips on our shoulders, and we all feel like we have something to prove.
I love
that. I think, if you talk to any of these guys, like you'll see it, you'll hear it. And I think it's awesome. And I think that's something that sets us apart.
Absolutely, man. It's been nothing short of amazing what you guys have done this year, man. Watching Maryland really turn up like this. Joel has been in your guys' corner the whole entire time. He has shirts and everything, man. He's got some Maryland gear.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man.
Yeah, man. Awesome, we're all for it. We're really, to be honest, we love wrestling. Wrestling, you would think it's not as popular as it really is, but to be honest, it's a pretty damn popular sport. And when you get into March and you get to the point, and me and Nick, we plan on, if all goes well, plan on making the trip to Pennsylvania for the tournament this year, and we plan on being there to watch it. It'd be one of our first experiences getting out to watch the NCAA championship. We've been talking about going each year, but things haven't aligned because we got families, we got kids, and things like that. So just hasn't happened. But like, it's huge. Some of those arenas sell out every time a wrestling match is there. You got a big tournament, it's a popular sport. It always has been. It's the first sport known to man,
Right. Yeah.
Nothing's better than wrestling, dude. But My next question. I mean, we're almost done. I don't have
Mhm.
too much more for you, and then I'll kind of let you give a shout out to some stuff. And I know Nick has some other stuff as well. But with this last week, NCAA introduced the 91st championship sport as women's wrestling, and I kind of was just curious. You being on the men's collegiate side, how do you feel that that's going to make an impact on the scene of wrestling moving forward? Because I have a young daughter
Mhm.
who's 3 years old right now doing
Mhm.
jujitsu, and my dream when I was growing up, I started wrestling when I was 5. So
Mhm.
shit, I get the chance now to put my
Yeah.
daughter in wrestling at 5 years old and watch the growth of women's wrestling grow through the collegiate level now. How is that kind of look from your guys' side, and what do you think the benefits of that are now going to be for the sport of wrestling?
Yeah, no, I mean, first off, I think it's awesome. You know, ever since I was a kid, there has been women's wrestling, and I've kind of been in the generation of like seeing it grow
Sure.
slowly. So it's really cool to finally see it come to full. There's going to be Division 1 wrestling programs for women's wrestling. I think it's going to have huge growth for wrestling, like in general, not just for women's or not just for men's. I think just as
Sure.
a whole, and especially with wrestling's kind of been on the Olympic chopping block for the past
I know.
how many 12 years or whatever.
Yep.
So I mean, I think it kind of gives it an opportunity to grow and get away from that. I think it's awesome though, and I think there's going to be a lot of changes. I assume with schools picking up and dropping some sports potentially, which could that's going to be difficult to see. But
Sure.
I think overall it's going to be pretty awesome.
I agree. Yeah, I'm truly looking forward to it because when I was telling my wife about it, and I was like, when they announced it, I'm like, look, here's something that
Yeah,
she could start at young
you're right.
and potentially grow because there's going to be nothing there. There are select, I guess what you would call, not no, they weren't championship teams, but like Iowa, I
Mhm.
think had a women's
Yeah,
wrestling team,
I
and then
think
some other.
ASU, UNC,
Yeah,
maybe.
there was some other, other colleges that had it, but not now that it's going to be on a D1, D2, D3 level.
Mhm.
That just opened up the window for a whole new
Oh
thing
yeah.
now. And now, like I said, when we were in high school, just like you said you got to see it kind of grow into
Mhm.
fruition. Like when we were growing up, there was like one girl,
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah,
one girl, and she was like massive chick, dude, and she would go out
yeah,
there and try to wrestle with kids.
yeah,
Throw
yeah.
But
bows.
yeah, but it's like, and when you didn't have that, but then it
Mhm.
started to get more popular when we got out of high school, and then you kind of seen it growing, and now it's like, now it's a whole damn championship sport, which is freaking
Yeah,
awesome to me,
yeah.
man. I love it.
It's cool. It's cool to see because it seemed like there was a lot of really good women's wrestlers that kind of had nowhere to go. I mean, it was like you could go
Yeah.
to you're the best women's wrestler, but you're settling for like a smaller school to give yourself an opportunity. But I think now it's gonna give plenty of women like great opportunities to go to big universities and
Sure.
get good educations and win a championship. So I think it's really cool.
Cool, man. I got one last question. It's not really wrestling related.
Huh.
We were on your Instagram. We see you got a vintage clothing brand
Yeah,
or a
yeah,
store.
That's
I
dope.
do. I do.
No
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
Okay.
It's called Terra Threads because what when I was thinking of the name, it was like Terrapin, like
Yeah.
for Maryland. So
Yeah.
Terra Threads. Yeah, I got the Carhartt jacket on right now. The vintage.
Vintage
Yeah.
base cap. Okay.
I'm peeping it, dog. I love
Yeah.
vintage clothing,
Yeah,
man.
Okay.
vintage
Yeah.
clothes stay. We love it too. I mean,
Yeah.
we're all Georgia guys.
Yeah.
It's kind of a big scene down in the
It
Atlanta
is.
area, the vintage clothing line brand. But
Right.
yeah, we was just happen to see it, and we were like, "Yo, that's dope," And we started
Yeah.
scrolling through it, seeing some of the stuff you got in your shop.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I just started it as like a side hustle in college. Like I've always liked vintage clothes, and so I was like trying to make some money. So I decided to like start selling on campus, and it kind of grew a little bit. And so now I just do it on the side. It's kind of like it's my biggest hobby. I have like a Depop, and
Oh
I
yeah.
I have a extra room in my house, and I think I'm up to like 6 or 7 racks, and then like 5 bins of shirts, and I just
Hey,
post on
Make
Instagram.
that
I don't really
money.
post on Instagram as much, but I post on like Depop stuff like that, and then I do like shops and stuff on campus and outside of school.
Oh,
that's
dope.
sick, man. We just went thrifting like on Saturday.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we did.
I think I've gone thrifting like twice today. Just
I
yeah.
That's
love
what's
that.
up, dude.
I
Yeah.
love that. But yeah, I mean, other than that, do you have any sponsors right now that you want to shout out? Anybody you want to kind of, shout out that's kind of helped you along your career, helping you right now that you want to kind of give credit to? Feel free.
Yeah. I mean, I'm working with Expand Sport, and it kind of just gives like an insider of like what I do, and I'm gonna start doing some technique breakdowns and stuff like that, and it gives that platform kind of gives you the opportunity to like we can do like in-depth conversations about my season, your season, really anything that you want to. Also, Chain Wrestling, I have like my own apparel and stuff like that. That if you want to support, you can always tap the link in my bio on Instagram, and then
Absolutely,
that's what's
man.
up, man. That's what's up. But hey, well, Jaxon, we appreciate you coming on, man. We really do. We've been saying we wanted to get you on and a couple other wrestlers on over this year. We've been growing as a podcast here recently, and we've been kind of thinking of ways to expand into different branches. And me and Nick being wrestlers, it was always top of our mind when we first started this to like, hey, let's do some college wrestling podcast episodes, and let's get some stuff going. One of our biggest episodes was when we covered the NCAA championship last year. And it kind of sparked our interest into really doing more involved in the NCAA side of things. So we appreciate you coming on, and we look forward to your matches upcoming, and then we look forward to March. And if there's ever any way we can get anybody else from the team on, we'd love to have some other people on to the show and kind of hear their stories as well. So man, we appreciate it.
All right. Yeah. Thank you guys for having me. And if you guys ever want the connection with anybody on the team, just text me or whatever, and I'll hook you guys up. So I really appreciate you guys having me.
Thank you, Jaxon. Good luck.
Appreciate it, dude. Yes, sir.
Have a good one.